Yo, what's going on, guys? XD Gaming here. Welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about my time I spent in the hospital for like a week. So, uh, last Thursday, so last week, before last Thursday, for like a couple of days, maybe even a week, I was having fevers and I was really short of breath and I could hardly walk. My chest was heavy and my chest started hurting when I took a deep breath. And I decided not to go to the hospital right away because I wanted to wait till Thursday when we went in to get chemo, so I just get to go in that day and have it done. So they'd figure out what was causing it, and I thought, it can't be that bad, right? Well, I was wrong. So they sent me to the hospital so I went to the hospital on Thursday. And that day, they did some tests. They did an echocardiogram of my heart, and they figured out I had a ton of fluid around the heart. And they sent me to a bunch of different rooms, and they ended up sending me down to the 4th floor on the cardiac room. And I was told I was going to have to get a drain put into my heart so they could take out the fluid. And they were going to have to do that without sedation because I had just eaten. So I was very upset and tense and nervous. My mom eventually explained to me that it wouldn't hurt that bad and that it'd just be a short, almost feel like an IV poke into the skin, and it wouldn't be that bad. So I went in, and I might tell the story some other time about the whole surgery process, and I'll get more in depth into that. But basically, they put me under. They didn't put me under anything, but they gave me numbing medicine. So they put a needle into right here in my chest, and they gave me numbing medicine. And then they went in, and it hurt really bad at first, so they gave me more numbing medicine. And then they went in, and they got the drain in, and they ended up taking out a liter of fluid. A liter. He was halfway done, he was at 600 mLs, and he was like, this is the most I've seen in a week already. And I was only halfway through. He took out over 1,000 mLs. I think it was 1,050 or something. Over a liter of fluid. I don't know how much this is. Maybe I can read it. 887 mLs. So think of this Germ-X bottle right here. It was more than this. It was maybe up to here. That's how much fluid was in my heart. Sitting around, the heart's over here, I'm stupid. Sitting here on my thing. Let's just say I lost some weight after that, because that weighed a little bit. So that was insane. Oh, I'm starting to lose my eyebrows again, so I'm starting to look like a weird creep. No, I'm joking, but yeah, so they took out a liter of fluid on my heart. Jeez. He was like, what are we at, 800 something? I'm like, oh, we're over 1,000 already. He's like, jeez. So they ended up doing that, and then they left the drain in, and it had this little like squishy thing that would collect the fluid, and it kind of looked like a grenade because it had a little like strap on it, and it like was a circle thing. So that was cool, but that hung off of me basically, and yeah, and they took it out already, of course, but here's the right there's what where they took it out. So the next day, they had it wrapped around in a coil, and they came out. Some person came out and had to redress it, and she was confused why it was all coiled up, but she took it out. But yeah, anyways, so before that happened, after they took out the liter of fluid, I went back to my room and I was in shock of just what was all happened. And I was just laying there, like, in shock. And I was just relieved. I felt way better because, a liter of fluid was on the heart. But they took off that liter of fluid and they took it to analysis, and they were going to analyze all the fluid. But anyway, so I basically sat there, and then I fell asleep eventually. I was able to eat again. I don't remember what I had to eat, but it wasn't much. Anyway, so the next day, so she was looking at the thing, had to redress it, and it had this little like thing on it, and she put some fluid. She tried to flush it. It wouldn't flush, and there was like no fluid in the drain. So she just thought, she was like, oh, there must be a blood clot in there. So we were thinking, oh no, will I have to go get a new drain in there or something? So that's what they thought. But yeah. Anyways, we got moved up to the 12th floor, so I was back on the 12th floor for some reason. Anyways, we just kind of stayed there, and I was worried about the blood clot or whatever. And then another day passes, and they don't really do anything. And then they eventually just tell me, hey, this is a good thing. We don't think there's a blood clot in there anymore. And now we're basically thinking it's just drained out all the fluid, and all the fluid's drained out. So that's a good thing. So the next day rolls by, and eventually they tell us that there is no cancer in the fluid around the heart, because that's what they were looking for, and there was no cancer. So we were so thankful for that, because that means that the cancer is not what's causing the fluid, and they didn't really have a big treatment for if there was cancer in the fluid. So there's no cancer in the fluid around my heart. So that is a great thing. So eventually, my heart starts like still beating really fast, and it was at like 130 beats per second or whatever, not second, but per minute or whatever they counted in. And they ended up moving me back down to the 4th floor. And then my heart started doing this weird flutter rhythm where I could feel it in my chest. It would start like beating, and it would go really high. And they said that my heart was weaker because they did like the echo or whatever, and they figured out it was weaker. But every time my heart would do the weird flutter thing, they'd have to come and do another EKG. So they'd have a bunch of stickers on me, and that basically is a readout of how the heart is beating or whatever. It's just like it takes this paper out and then has a bunch of like squibble marks on it or whatever. So they did that, and they it wasn't like, it's not a life-threatening thing, it being weaker, but the rhythm thing, they didn't know if they were going to treat it, so they put this Holter monitor on me, which was a bunch of stickers, and they gave me this little like box thing. So they did that for a day, and I would press it every time I felt the weird flutter thing, and then I would write it down on a piece of paper about what happened and why I was doing that, like what I was doing or whatever. And that was good. But for that entire day, it only did it like 3 times or whatever. So only for like one day it was really bad. And then the next day it was not very bad at all. And then the next day after that I didn't feel it at all. So, but they decided they wanted to take the drain out because it was still, my heart rate was still up, and they didn't know what was what, and they wanted to take it out and see if it would fix it. So they took the dressing off, and then they took the little stitches out of it, and then they would have to pull the drain out, and I had to take a deep breath and then blow out, and she would pull it out, and she pulled it out, and it felt, you could feel it getting ripped out of your chest. It didn't hurt, but it just felt weird. Like you could feel it getting pulled out of your chest. So that was a really weird feeling. But yeah, that happened. And then the next day, they came and they told, or maybe it was 2 days after that, it was after the Holter monitor, they told me there was still fluid in my lungs, and they weren't going to do anything about it because it didn't seem severe. They didn't need to tap it or anything. But then the oncologist, they talked with them, and they decided they wanted to basically stick a needle into my lung and extract some of that fluid to see if there's cancer cells in it, and that will tell them what they want to do with the chemo and what they want to do with the treatment. So they ended up doing that, and that was right here. And what they did was they had to put an IV in because they took my port out because they weren't using that anymore. And they had to put an IV in. And by the way, I'm still like generally just going through all this really fast. This was a whole process, and a bunch of more stuff happened, but I don't have time to explain everything. But they tried to stick me once here and like once here, and they missed them on both. I don't know if they're bad, if those people were bad at IVs or something, or if my veins were rolling, but they stuck me twice and couldn't get an IV in. So eventually they sent me down to where I was going to get the surgery, and they said they were going to do the IV there. And then I was really nervous because I didn't know if they were going to miss or whatever. So the anesthesiologist was like, oh, I'm just going to try it. And I was like, what if you miss? And she's like, oh, I'll just keep trying. So that did not make me feel any better. But she went in and she got it first try, so I was happy. And she gave me this one medicine that made me relax, and it made me all tingly, like I was tingly feeling, and it just relaxes you and it makes you feel calm. And then she gave me the IV anesthesia, and I was out. I think my eyes were still open because I was staring at the ceiling, and I'll have a whole story about this. I felt like I was like in the ceiling or something, but I'll make a video about that. That was the weirdest experience I've ever felt. And then when I woke up, I was all woozy, and I was like dizzy, and I was like looking side to side, but everything was like wishy-washy. It was weird. It was really weird. I'll make a video about that. But yeah, and then I went up, and I didn't have like any pain. I was good. And so I basically just waited a day, and then the next day they told me that I might be able to go home today, and they told me they did not find any cancer in the fluid, so I have no cancer in the fluid around my lungs, so that is a great thing. And or it's in the lungs, the fluid, but so that means that they can probably continue with the same chemo, because they didn't know if the chemo wasn't working, and they can do the radiation like they were going to do it, so that is a good thing. This is very good. But anyways, they told me I might be able to go home today, but it's probably like 1,000,001 shot. But anyways, they come in, they're like, there's no reason to really keep you here. We'll talk to everyone, and we can basically probably send you home today. And my mom went home the day before that to get like my Xbox and stuff, but then she was coming back up that day, and we were like, oh, we can go home. So she came up, and then we basically went with whoever was driving her, and we basically went back home with her. Me and my grandma did. So it ended up being really good, and I was happy to get out of there because that was my 7th day in. But yeah, guys, that was my week in the hospital. And yeah, I just got home yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday. I just got home yesterday, and yeah, I still feel pretty good. We're gonna have to take these dressings off. I'm still have to get a shower, and yeah, that was a crazy experience. I definitely couldn't have explained it to how bad it really was. It was horrible, and I'll probably make a few videos on it, on a few different parts of it. And yeah, so basically I had 2 surgeries during that. One without sedation and one with sedation, but it was weird sedation. So yeah. Anyways, guys, my voice is getting hoarse now, so I'm going to stop this. I hope you enjoyed this little video of me explaining to you exactly pretty much everything that happened during that week. I know I should have probably made videos during that, but I didn't, so I'm sorry. But I explained everything here, so yeah. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow my social media down in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video vlog or stream. Peace.